I think anything could be. You just have to have the right foundation. And in fact, the team that I built at Riot was originally called the Foundation team instead of the World Building team. We later on renamed it, but I do believe in the foundation.
Welcome to the Pixel Retentive Podcast, where we unpack the messy, beautiful intersection of creativity and business with the artists, marketers, and founders shaping our culture. Hey friends, I'm Carl, founder of Epic Made, and I'm the host of the Pixel Retentive Podcast, where we share our thoughts on creativity, art, and business. Past guests include Corbin Reeves, founder of Azure Ravens Entertainment, Cheryl Platts, author of the Game Development Strategy Guide, and Cameron Dayton, narrative director behind Overwatch, Call of Duty, and NBA 2K. I'm forever grateful for the supporters of this podcast, and we are always open to more sponsors that align with our brand. That said, Pixel Retentive is brought to you by Epic Made. Epic Made is a strategic creative studio helping brands turn big ideas into unforgettable animated content, campaign visuals, and story-driven creative that actually connects and turns viewers into fandom. We work with the best brands in gaming, entertainment, and tech and pop culture to make their ideas feel bigger, clearer, and harder to ignore. So if your brand has a campaign launch, pitch, or story that needs to stand out, visit epicmade.net and let's make something epic. All right. So with us today, we have Eduardo Gonzalez, head of art at Super Evil Mega Corp. Welcome to the show, Eduardo.
Good to be here. Thank you.
All right, and I totally failed all my practice of your first name, but let's go ahead and give me a fair rating there. What do you think? 1 to 10? I was like a 6, 7.
A good 7. A good 7. It's tough.
Right.
It's tough unless you got to roll your R's to say it.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't have a lot of R rolling experience, so it's all right. So Eduardo is a world-building creative art director who creates immersive worlds players don't just see, they feel. He's worked with major studios like Sony and Riot Games, contributing to beloved IPs, including League of Legends, Arcane, God of War, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate. Today, he helps shape bold, expressive game experiences at Super Evil Mega Corp, building scalable IP and assembling the right creative teams to bring those worlds to life. So, first of all, Super Evil Mega Corp is an amazing name for a company. I just love saying it. It's probably one of the few corps that isn't super evil and mega, right? So it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, we're like the opposite of that, but the name is really what captured my attention when they sent me the email and said, "Hey, would you want to join us?" I said yes, just because of the name alone.
Of course. Like they're at least going to get their email read and go, that actually, it just sounds fun, right? Like, yeah. So it's beautiful. So, before we get into the subject today, just sort of talking about all of your experience and the amazing games you've helped bring to life, I would love for our audience to get to know you a bit better. So how long have you been in the industry and what project are you most proud of so far?
Oh gosh, I stopped counting, but I think it's over 25 years in the industry. It's just, and what was the second part? What am I most proud of?
Yeah, what project, like when you think about it, really just you're the most proud of, just give you the most of the feels that you were a part of this or you did it, or I know sometimes it's hard, like picking your favorite kid or something, but yeah.
No, I have one. Okay. And that is it's a part of being at Riot Games, but like really taking on the world building efforts of League of Legends and essentially building Runeterra, the entire universe around it. And just tackling that and someone allowing me to do that was a dream come true. It's always been on my bucket list and it finally happened. So I took full advantage of it. I wasn't gonna fail at it at all.
That's incredible. I love that. I played a little bit of League of Legends, but I really used to play a lot of Dota when it was like part of Warcraft 3, like an actual map. You just like played on the custom maps before it all like broke out into everything. So
yeah.
Yeah, I love it. The animation they do over there to promote all their things every year is incredible. So the world that you built out over there is is so well done, and it's so immersive. So kudos.
Oh, I mean, it's a lot of amazing, like talented people. And
Yeah,
everything has a long story. Just depends on which direction to go. But the way they decided to communicate to players, the intent and the experience, I think it's the game is fun. Like I love playing the game, but I also think that the secret sauce behind League of Legends is really how they approach the community. And the fact that you said, look, I just love your storytelling and your videos and all the cinematics that came along with it. It's like it was all just to say how do we communicate to the players what we're doing and go a little bit deeper than the game does, and just to add more value. And I think players really love that aspect of it. And I honestly, people try to make games and they forget that part of it. It's like, how do you connect to the community, truly communicate, not just send them a whole bunch of content and say, go have at it. They were really involved with the community. So it's a big
yeah.
shout out to Riot Games and how they approach that.
I mean, so it's a great game. It's fun to play, but like that's sort of entirely adjacent. Like you could have that and not do these other parts.
Yeah.
Like, like let's talk about like every time they release a new expansion or new characters and they have an entire story arc that's animated on a level that most studios couldn't even do, right? Like, and it's got this really cool style of 3D with like 2D overlaid on top of it, and there's always a custom, unique, amazing song that's like it's like what is going on? Like every piece of it is so artfully crafted and unique and made specifically for this. And again, like you could do the game without all this. You could like release a little web page like, hey, check it out, we're dropping a fighting panda guy and this is what he's about. But no, you guys like make a little universe and you make a little video and you tell it, and it's incredible. Like there was no slouching on any of that I've ever seen. So yeah, I love that stuff.
You're going to
So
tell you something?
yeah,
It wouldn't have been as big if it wasn't for that.
of course.
I don't think they would have been as big. I think like that is what grew, like it grew big and they would have been successful, but not this successful if they didn't do that part right.
And they invested in the over the top creativity, putting all their passion into this storytelling. And you're right, it made it its own thing. Like it's totally engrossing. You could listen. I watched that video and I was like, I don't even play League of Legends, like, and I know about this stuff because I just love how amazing it is. Just put the brand on such a high level through that unique, those decisions of how to promote it and how to build the world. So, and look, you've worked on massive IP, League of Legends, Arcane, God of War. What do you think separates good world building from unforgettable world building?
I so it really just goes to the bottom, the root cause of any player that really gets it, whether they like gameplay or they like movies, right? Like you can look at The Last of Us and say, oh, that's just a TV show that you can interact with. Then you can look at a very gamey game and still get like something like Metroid and still get enough of the world, and then feel it. The bottom line is no matter what type of game it is, if you can go in and communicate and create, almost envelop the player in this universe that you're either playing a game and telling stories all at the same time, depending on your preference, you got them. You got their full attention. It's just when you hand wave things too much, or when you do too many cinematics and forget the gameplay, like it just has to be the right combination that just makes the game sing and be what it's supposed to be. That to me flourishes because I'll tell you this much: God of War was supposed to be a quick, small game. It wasn't
Yeah.
supposed to be this epic thing. It was just so well delivered, so well done. The entire world, the gameplay, all seamlessly put together that it naturally grew into this monster. League of Legends was supposed to be, and I don't know exactly the exact size of it, but it wasn't supposed to be as big as it is now. It's just that they did it so right that it just got away from them and in the right direction.
All the right ways. Yep.
Yeah.
I love that. And as you said that, that balance of cinematic and gameplay, like I don't think anything ever hit me like that quite like the first God of War did, where it was just like, oh my God, like I'm in it. Like I'm really focused on playing this. I like to put everything on hard when I start, especially that type of game where it's like I really want to earn every battle. And next thing you know, like I'm in a cinematic, and then I got to interact here, and I got to press the button and do the thing, and now it's a puzzle, and then it's what? And I was like, oh my!
Yeah.
And I'm in there, like I'm 10 hours in, and didn't realize I'd spent all day playing God of War, and like that for me was such an immersive experience. And then the scale where it's like you're fighting giant monsters, but somehow it feels right. Like it feels like I'm actually doing this, and I would run up his arm and chop him in the eyeball and spin around his back. And it was so cool. So it was this like interactive, deep level of storytelling while still engaging gameplay. And
that's a good example. Like,
yeah,
you jump on top of a, whether it's a Cyclops or something like that, and you go in, and it's believable. It feels like your character you're controlling is jumping on top, killing this Cyclops, but at the same time, it's a button mesh. It's a very gamey, but it's seamlessly put together, and you're just like, oh my god! And you're just like, I can't believe I just did that. You didn't think, oh, that was really good gameplay, or that was a cool cinematic. You just thought, did I just do that? And everything else was invisible. It just you started believing it, and it enveloped you and brought you in. That's what makes amazing games grow that big and that memorable. It's got to last.
I love that. So that's really the difference, is like the deep immersion into like the world building, where it's like you don't even realize you're playing a game on some levels because it's so engrossing. I love that. Yeah. So you talk about game art having function and purpose. How do you balance visual spectacle with just like gameplay clarity, like without it all getting too muddied up,
It's strange. I like to think of like even art. Somebody says, just draw me a pretty picture. And it's like, it hurts my heart when somebody says that. It looks pretty. I like somebody to say like, okay, that, when we were doing some of the world building for Runeterra in the League of Legends universe, we were looking at an entire faction, and we were creating imagery. And at the beginning, it was just like good guys and bad guys. That's just like, it's like saying to an artist, just make a pretty picture. But
right.
When you actually start saying, are they good guys? Are they bad guys? Well, I don't know. I understand this person more. And once you start creating a gray space between that, then you start creating, whether it's visuals, whether it's storytelling, whether it's writing, whatever it is, you start trying to create something beyond just the intent. You start to create something that is purposeful, that is like a piece of artwork or a piece of writing that says, I'm going to explain to you how all of this is interconnected. I call it the glue that holds everything together. So if you draw an image of a castle, it gives you hints. It says, okay, this is the era, this is the universe, this, like, it tells you way more, and its purpose and its function goes beyond just what you see. It starts telling you things about the game and things about the world in the game that your brain starts to collect and pick up. And everything that you look, the art and the visuals all are gathering all this information that enriches your experience. And then when you start seeing it all coming through, that's what art is supposed to do. And then on top of that, it has to be a pure function aspect of it, where like the visuals are also part of the UI. Like instead of like having these graphical UI elements disrupting the gameplay environment, maybe let the art guide the player in terms of some of the in-game like mechanics and indicators, so that we don't have to have somebody pop out and say, oh, UI popped up and now you get thrown out of the experience. So that's what I mean about good art.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I like there's things in the game that teach you the mechanics and how to play in a way that feels really natural. And also the visuals on top of that, like even when you have to have a UI, like it's the start menu and that, things that like, I mean, I guess there's ways to get around that too. You could just walk up to a wall and interact with a wall or something. But and I've seen some of that, especially in some VR games, which are really cool. But I think like the first company I ever saw really put a lot of attention to the art of their like interface was Blizzard, like in the early like Warcraft and Diablo days. And I remember just being really captivated by how cool that looked, and like wow, there's lots of like every button on here looks like it's carved out of stone with like gold filigree on it. Like it's in the world. The whole thing is immersive,
Yeah.
you know. So I think that's really powerful. I really liked. I just draw the blank. It was there, and it just went away. I apologize. Um,
Fine.
Go ahead.
When it comes to like when you're thinking about Blizzard, the one thing that I loved about them is their cinematics, and that's a good example
Yeah.
of like, are you making cinematics just to for marketing purposes? I think they went beyond that. I think
Oh yeah.
the cinematics were so amazing and so like they drew you in so much and they gave you so much information that when you went into the game, and I'm sorry, but Blizzard probably knows this too, the games didn't look that pretty back then,
No, I was gonna say that.
But I saw the cinematics and I'm like, oh, that's StarCraft and that's all the characters and that's how they really look. And then you go in game and your brain just fills in I know what those guys look like when you zoom in. So you just imagine the cinematics in game
Yeah.
and you are forgiving them for what's in game because now you love the game and now you know what this world's about. And so they didn't have to put so much labor and time consuming, like budget breaking kind of like back breaking kind of work into the game when you just did it simply in the cinematics and people are like I get the universe now and I can play the game and imagine that and your brain does fill the gaps, which is pretty
That's
amazing.
really true. And I was thinking that as you were saying it, I was like, those cinematics were so good. They almost made the game look terrible once you switched over to the game. But I think that they were pushing the cinematics as far as they could at the time. And the game just really like making a game that played on that level of cinematics, like that level of graphic detail. I don't even think it was possible, especially in the times of like Diablo 2 and Warcraft. But you're right, your brain does kind of just go, this is what this world is, and like it gets you even more. I remember like after every, especially Diablo cinematic, like I would be so hyped to play the game, but like I didn't want to skip it. Like I never skipped the cinematics, which is rare. Like a lot of times people just skip them all these days.
It was the
So yeah,
reward, wasn't it?
yeah, it really was. That was like my favorite part of a new Blizzard launch. And again, kind of like League of Legends, like the above and beyond of what they did to promote the game and building the world out, like is really what sold it. And then you talk about the massive success of Warcraft from there. And it wasn't because no one had done anything like that before. There wasn't MMOs or there wasn't even better MMOs, but it was the way that they brought all that storytelling from Warcraft 1 through 3 and then packed it into an MMO RPG and then polished it, then made it beautiful. And it's kept people, I mean, people have a problem with that game because they can't put it down. It's so immersive.
I didn't play WoW because the minute I saw it I'm like I'm going to lose my life to
Yes.
this game. So I
Yes.
played
I didn't.
enough.
Go ahead. Go ahead. No, sorry.
No, I just saying I just played enough just to make sure that I understood it. But I had to force myself out of it because I'm like, this game's going to take my soul away. It's too good.
100%. I played EverQuest, like what they used to call EverCrack. It was like super addictive. But it was kind of like a lot of people from that team ended up migrating over and joining forces on the Blizzard side, and like that's when they made World of Warcraft. And I fired it up for about 3 weeks, and I was like, no, I had to, because I just quit EverQuest like a year before that, and was like, I'm not doing this my whole life, like I just have to put my foot down. But I
Yep.
played probably an insane amount of those types of games for a long time. But really, where they get you is that immersive storytelling. You're really captivated by the idea of building this character and taking this character on a journey, and like you feel that some sort of representation of that character. And then when you get into like the more MMO side, where it's like now the ways that you've taken your specific journey through this game alongside of these hundreds if not thousands of other people, that's a whole other layer. That's a different side of this. But
Yeah.
then you start getting into like your visual identity within this game and the skins, and like, oh, I like to wear this type of armor because it looks cool and it makes me feel XYZ. But you have that in League of Legends too, don't you? Where there's like skins about for each character. So yeah, but what do you think it is about that adds a layer of immersion, when you can customize your character, even though like you have everybody, essentially able to use this same character, but you're taking yours in this different approach. I feel like that's another layer of creative immersion. So
So I think there's a clear answer. I think many people might have a different answer to that, but in terms of my job when we were doing champions and skins, I wanted to truly understand really why people wanted them versus just make the coolest thing possible and send it off. But at that time, we're talking about 1 million players concurrently in a month. So like, how can you speak for 1 million players? You can't,
no.
right? So what is it that they want? All we have to do is do a variety of things. Some things click and some things didn't. And we were successful because we had so many people that will like them. But starting with the champions, they just needed to feel, people needed to feel like they can personify that character. They can become that character. It's something that they feel like I would love to be that character, And that was kind of easy because that was the base, and you're like, cool. But then you made a champion that I think a lot of players can see themselves being, right? But at the end of the day, it was just one, and the skins played a different role, I think. Is now you're looking at every player and the personalities of every player and their identity and their preference and their unique situation in terms of what they want. You can never, ever aim for all those players and get exactly what they want. So when they looked at skins, they picked a skin that matched their personality, that matched who they are. And so it was kind of like self-identifying. And I think that's what skins did more so than this is just cool. Because I think that people pick them because I like this type of character, and I like these type of things, and I like the cute ones, and I like the evil monsters. Whatever they preferred, they got their favorite champion, the gameplay that they wanted, and then something that fit their personality. I think that's why skins were so well accepted in League of Legends versus other games that just, I think they were just kind of like monetizing stuff,
Yeah. Like, and there's probably a balance of that, but in like Fortnite, right? Fortnite was one of the first games that I'm aware of that had an entire monetization system,
Yeah.
and from the start built around, we're going to sell some skins. And people are like, what? You can't do that. And then all of a sudden they're crushing it. And so I played a lot of Fortnite, especially during COVID with my son. And, I never cared about skins at all. Like, I never wanted a skin. I was like, I'm not going to spend money on a skin because, like, I can play the game for free. What are we doing? Like, but they released a skin that had these they were like treant type of people, and like that's always been my jam. Like, I love to like draw like green man and tree people, and like, so I was like, I gotta have this skin, and it's like, oh, okay. And they even got me here, like, and I was like the guy I'm not gonna spend money on this cosmetic item, but no, it does, it really is important, I think.
They did it well too.
Yeah,
they did it well.
I've never seen, maybe Lego has more brand deals, the licensing deals, than Fortnite. But I've never seen a world where you have DC characters and Marvel characters and all in the same place. Like this, it just doesn't happen. But it's become such a cultural collision point in our society, where it's like all of pop culture ends up. I watched a Travis Scott concert on Fortnite one time. Like, what was going? I didn't even know what was going on. Like, I'm just like running around. Like, it seemed crazy to me, but I also get it. It was interesting. And it was still during I guess lockdown, or what was it called, quarantine, or whatever we were doing for those couple of years. It was all a blur. But yeah. But so there's something in here about this immersive world building and getting deep into these different brands and the universes. At some point, this becomes, I think, we've talked a little bit about like, what's a scalable IP? And I think that there's a connection in there that is like the depth of the ideas and the creativity in the world allow it to be scalable, right? Like, you can tell infinite stories in Star Wars. You can just be on a random planet in the universe, and it could have anything on it. And like, so I'd love to talk to more about like what you think makes an IP scalable, and maybe some of your favorite ones that you've worked with.
I think anything could be. You just have to have the right foundation. And in fact, the team that I built at Riot was originally called the Foundation team instead of the World Building team. We later on renamed it. But I do believe in the foundation. So if you think of it, like I always explain it as like, look at planet Earth, right? Let's say we humans didn't exist, planet Earth didn't exist, and some creative person said, "I'm going to build a world," and they pretty much described us, right? And then you're like, okay, cool, I get it. Humans, planet Earth, they have water, they have like all these different biomes, they have all these different like countries, and they're all fighting each other, whatever. You just describe that thing. So where do you tell stories? And then you can pick any one of those. You can pick billions of stories. See how easy that is? If you just see it that way, it's all about the foundation. So I like to build a world, a great foundation, and establish the rules of the world, find out the nucleus, like something that the catalyst, the thing that holds everything together, and then the glue that that attaches to all these other things. And so if you follow that structure, then you can decide where to tell the stories. For instance, in Runeterra, League of Legends, we decided to figure out what the world was instead of trying to build stories out of the existing faction. We're like, no, let's where does magic come from? What is magic? What's the meaning of that? Something so abstract, like, Bilgewater was supposed to be a place where anything goes. And it's like, okay, anything goes. Do they just all rob each other? How do people make money? Well, how does it motivate anybody to do anything? You start going deep, and it was a really moment, like one of those moments where you're like, oh, we got it. It's like, well, we have Miss Fortune, who's a bounty hunter, and we're like, well, if you add bounties to people, and you say, like, I can say, I have a bounty on you, I have $1 on you. I'm gonna put it up here. Anybody can do it, by the way. And it says, anybody kills you, I'll give them $1. And they're, of course, everybody's gonna be like, I'm not paying $1. Like, I'm not gonna go kill somebody and risk my life for $1. But if you piss off enough people, right? And everybody puts $1, and then the bounty starts growing and growing and growing. Now you're going to start attracting the best bounty hunters to come kill you. And so now all of a sudden you see how their society works, and how they operate, and how does an anarchy kind of like, society control itself. And so we built that, and it's just much better than just saying a bunch of pirates and without no rhyme or reason. We really built in the foundation as to why they are that way in every aspect of the world. And then you can tell infinite stories about a character. So who's running the whole location, right? So in essence, world building has nothing to do with storytelling, has everything to do with rule setting to tell stories on top of.
Just asking questions and questions and questions, and deeper and deeper and deeper, so that you can tell stories within those confines and rules. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I know there's a lot of tools out there and methodologies, workbooks, and that kind of stuff. Is there anything that you have read or used that you recommend in terms of like world building?
So I don't. There's a lot of like, I don't remember like where I would get some of these things, but like I was either listening to them on podcasts or whatever, and I pick up as much. I love podcasts around world building, but I never like subscribed to one, and mainly because I wanted to always stay fresh, and I wanted to be just me. But mostly I got all of my world building is because, like I told you, is my dream job, or my dream situation to build a world. It's because Star Wars and Marvel and universes, honestly, like they took me away. They distracted me from everyday life. They took me to a new location, new universe, a whole new set of rules that I have to think about. And I learned from just by watching, like even the Matrix did that. Like, when you found out, like, wait a minute, we're not real. What did I almost for a minute say, am I real right now? Like, those are amazing.
Still ask that. I love it. As AI is evolving too, I keep thinking like, how would we know? How would we know? Like, I mean, it was such a good, and it was so such a good story. And so I think there's something that goes into these storytelling, especially really immersive things where it's like really crazy, but like it's really plausible somehow. Like, oh my God, that's insane. But every time I ask a question, it's like, well, maybe, oh my God. Like, and then here we are, 30 years later, I still think about the Matrix, like,
Yeah.
because the world was so immersive. The idea of it was so like just shaking and like earth shattering, I guess is the phrase I was looking for. But also like now as we're driving into this technological explosion in AI, what does an AI look like in 15 years? It's like connected to a supercomputer that like has a battery that runs forever, that's in a robot. Like, and like, I don't like, what does that even mean? And then you start thinking about Terminator and like all like, it's wild, right? Like it's really wild. But these are all examples of just really deep storytelling, like really deep world building that has great stories built into them, right? The stories were told from the world. And I love that you were talking about like how does commerce work? Well, how, and you can get into like, well, what is religion and what are beliefs and do they have racism or do they have this? Do they have is it a patriarchal society or a matriarchal society or something else?
Exactly.
Is everything asexual? Are they non-binary? Like start asking yourself just all of these questions, like how different do you want it to be than the regular world? And what are the characters? Where is it in the world? And like stuff like Star Wars or Star Trek, even like just kind of anything goes, right? You set up some framework, like there's these people flying around the universe, and then they interact with these creatures. What are they like? It's fascinating because you get to make cultures, you get to make, and in a lot of ways, when I do world building, it's like it's revisions on the world around me, like almost like criticisms or compliments, depending on how I'm positioning things.
Exactly. Like honestly, like it's really more about, exactly the role of world building versus the role of storytelling. If you just simplify it right there, I don't think you have to ever worry about confusing the two. But for some reason, people always do. It's like, oh, you're gonna world build. It's like that's not world building. It's like that's not world building. And everybody does things. By the way, there's multiple hundreds, millions of ways to kind of do it. So I don't think mine's is the only way, but I just also know that there's a division between trying to build the world out of a story, and that's possible. You're just gonna have to go backwards, but you still have to set up the rules,
Well, and look, that's where it falls apart. Like you should set up the rules. Like I was watching a whole series with my wife about vampires. Oh, it was a modern Van Helsing. Like I don't know if you've seen this, and it was like good for a while. And then like as they go through the story, like they start breaking the rules, and then they don't explain it. And then like this happens, and that doesn't make any sense. And then somebody dies, but somebody else can come back to life. And then they died later, and then it's like, but why this time and not the last time? And how come it doesn't work for everyone else? So if you don't follow if you build rules and then don't follow them, the whole like I was just annoyed. Like by the time I was done watching that, I went from like, oh, this is really enjoyable, exciting, to after I finished all 5 seasons, because like you're kind of just on the train wreck sometimes, and you just feel like you need to complete it. But I was really pissed off because I was like, it left me with so many questions, and it destroyed all of the magic and the allure of like, oh, this is a separate world. And it was like, no, they just wrote whatever made sense for this episode. Like it was annoying. So that can kind of really destroy things, and so that's something to be mindful of for sure. You should always make rules and then follow them. That's where it really reinforces.
The best part is when you make the rules and you intentionally break it. That's where the chaos is. That's where you want to tell the story. It's like when imagine a planet Earth and all of a sudden somebody breaks gravity. I mean, the focus of the story is like, wait, somebody is doing something very different, and it's very like the opposite of what the rules in this world is. That's where you find the best stories. But it's intentional,
right? And you have to lead them somewhere, and then at the end, hopefully, the satisfaction of like, oh, and this is how they break gravity, and you're like, wow, that's incredible, right? Like that's the magic, right? But if you don't have it, like that's part of, so that's the magic of storytelling versus like the world building, right? Again, the separation.
Exactly.
So I love that. So whenever you're like assembling a team on a project to work on something, like, and you're picking somebody's brain and you're like, all right, so like I think this person might be good to work with. Like, what are some signals that kind of tell you that someone can truly build worlds and not just like, hey, we can make a cool monster with big armor and like fights good, Like, are there any tells in there?
That subject's gotten me in trouble. Obviously, I was working on the champion team and even skins team at the time. And when I started building the team, the development team, it's sometimes it's easy because it's like, hey, I want to go try. I'm like, yep. I never really said no to anybody. I said, yeah, come on. I just don't know if you're gonna like it.
Oh,
It's boring. If you don't like it, we're just gonna be talking and we're gonna be trying so many things, but we're gonna spend a lot of time not making stuff. It's about exploring and talking about, almost like if we discovered a whole new planet, we're going to sit down and talk about it and take notes. We're not
yeah,
going to draw. And they're like, you're not going to draw? What, not yet. And so that you can, as soon as somebody starts freaking out about like, how do we do it without drawing? Okay, you're not it. But it goes deeper than that. It's more of like when somebody sits down and describes a character, and I usually do this in interviews as well. I tell them, tell me about this character. If they can tell me so much about this character that's not even in the visuals, and then they tell me about where he's from, who he is, what kind of personality, and then I start looking at the character. I'm like, all of the things that they said, I feel them. I see them. They really
yeah,
created a character with all these things. So there's a whole bunch of baggage. There's a world around them that they thought about when they created this character. I can walk you through one of my characters and tell you everything about them, and you're like, but it's not in there. And I said, well, look closer. And then when all that stuff is there, it's like you flourish out of this kind of like space, and you can go beyond what's you need to actually you know like execution is everything. Like getting a character done and checking it off and going to the next one is fine, but like we need to create a character that is going to interact in this world and has a role and has a purpose. Are all of these things there? And then they're attached to, like, you can draw some cool armor, but this faction right here has this type of aesthetics. Did you apply them? Did you think about, like, it's a religious aesthetics, it's a warmongering aesthetics? What is it about? Even if they don't have a clear definition, but like you're trying to achieve something with this character instead of just another cool character that looks great. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not for this role. You know what I'm saying? One's not better than
100%.
the other.
No, absolutely. Some people really enjoy getting into building out that story, right? And that
Yeah.
story is so important. Like, where did this character come from? Like, what things have they been through? Like, all the things. And then, using that to draw something. Some people just want to be given the prompts, like, hey, like, this is
Exactly.
the stuff, and they need these things. And, and I get that. There's different roles for different people, for sure. So yeah, that's a great answer. When they can really unpack, and my creative director Ross at Epic Made, like, he'll always tell you like a proper illustration, no matter what it is, tells a whole story just in an image, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's not just like this pretty picture. Like, every little thing is intentionally
And it's
put in
not
there.
just images. So the one thing that I said when I was building the team is, we're looking for world builders. We're looking for game, like, not just development artists. And somebody says, oh, okay, cool, but what about writers? I'm like,
Mhm.
no, all writers aren't world builders either. We have
That's
to
true.
find those there too. Like, so just because you write, you can write for an article, you can write for this. There could be so many purposes, but we need to have writers and that are not storytellers, that are willing to kind of build that foundation, build the rules instead of go straight to stories. That's searching for the right writers and searching for the right team. That think that way is essentially trying to find somebody that understands it, the ask, and doesn't jump to, hey, I'm going to tell you a story, hey, I'm going to draw you a picture. It's like, no, that's not what we're doing here. And it goes through multiple disciplines, not just art.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it takes all the different skill sets to come together
Yeah.
and really build these amazing IPs, especially the ones we've talked about on this show. Well, so look, this show has gone crazy fast. We're
Yeah.
up at time now. So before we end the show, I would like to ask: is there anyone or anything in your career you'd like to shout out to the audience? Maybe a mentor, valuable resource, or a favorite client?
So the 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 thing that kind of changed a lot is the book, and I'm sure it's everybody's like, oh, I've read it. Why are you bringing something up that probably everybody knows about? But I like the book how to win friends and influence people. That really changed a lot of how I interact with people and work with people, and really made me a better person overall. The reason why think everyone should probably go read the book if you haven't read it is the purpose of getting a team together is to make something absolutely amazing, something that surprises the audience, the players, and all that stuff. And you can't do it when the team isn't happy, when the team isn't, you know, molding together as a fine-tuned piece of machinery that everybody just loves to show up to work every day. You make the best content, the most creative, content ever, with a bunch of happy people that get along with each other. And so just
100%.
through that book, that really helped me unify the team, have to push hard and push them outside their comfort zone with tact and with all sorts of respect and empathy, right? Like, just, we need to get here, and we're going to be pushing beyond what our capabilities are. You can do it wrong or you can do it right, and that book really guided me. So I recommend that book for whatever it is that you're trying to do with a group of people, because that book is going to tell you how to treat people better.
I love that. What a great resource. So definitely recommend that. I haven't read it, but you're not the first person to recommend it. So it's going to go on my wish list now, and I'll be getting it. So,
You're gonna love it.
all right. So we've been talking to Eduardo Gonzalez. You can check him out at superevilmegacorp.com. But if listeners want to follow up with you directly, where should they go?
LinkedIn is probably where I'm at. I'm not really into social media and all that stuff, but you'll find me on LinkedIn most often, and Instagram. But I don't even know my Instagram
I got it
name.
right here.
So
It's Eduardo underscore Gonzalez underscore art. We'll
there
put
you
that in the show notes as well.
go.
And
Okay,
then on LinkedIn, your handle looks like it's your extension is Ed Gonzalez dash creative. So should be able to find them either through either one of those. Again, those will be in the show notes. So
yeah,
all all right, Eduardo, thank you so much for being on the show. And for everyone else, if this episode sparked something for you, please share it with a friend or colleague, and we will see you all next time. Take it easy. All right, man, that was fun. Nailed it.
yeah.
Quick and easy.
Awesome.
Cool. So I really appreciate you, man. And that was a fun episode. This will come out probably, I think we're like 2 months out right now, give or take. Just been recording a lot of these, but just a couple follow-up items here. I'm because you've been on the show, I now have you on the 136 people that have been on this show. I offer at the end of every show to make introductions to past show guests. So I'll send you a link with all the past episodes. You can scroll through there and check out the name and title and see if there's somebody in there you want to meet. I'm happy to make those introductions. You will now be on that list as well, so you might hear from me in the future. Do a
Awesome.
lot of just like referrals back and forth, people, just building a little community. So hopefully we'll share a little business and help each other out and all the things on that level. And then I always need introductions for future guests. So if you can think of anybody that would be, that you've worked with over the years, that would be a great guest. I would love an introduction, especially people that worked on some of these AAA titles that we're all aware of. So that would
Absolutely.
be super fun. And then the last two things is just free gifts for coming on the show. So the first one is a free creative brain jam session with my creative director and I. Both like lifelong gamer nerds. We've been working in the entertainment industry now for 20 years. But we love building worlds, like literally love it. So if you are stuck on something or you just want some fresh brains to collaborate with, we would love to just jump on a thing and hash it out. No strings attached to that. We're not asking for anything out of that. But it would be fun, and it could be a little taste of maybe we could collaborate in the future on something. So
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
cool. Yeah, well, let me know. Is there anything you're working on currently you think you might want to use that on? Or
Right now, we're currently working on kind of this vampire game, which is kind of funny that you said that. And we'll see. Like I want to make sure that I talk to someone at work to make sure that it's okay. And then of course I'm always working on my own IPs and stuff like that. But just it'd be interesting to just run something through somebody. But for now, all of the really cool world building and storytelling for Splintered Fate was already kind of laid out. And I think we're just in execution mode, but I think it came out great, and I think our players gonna love it. But yeah,
I'm excited to play it, and that new character you guys are creating looks cool too. And yeah, so if something comes up with that vampire game or anything else, just let me know. And your personal IP is fine too, man. I'm just trying to make friends and
yeah.
network in the space. So what, no pressure on any of that. So, oh, and then
Yeah,
the
no,
last
that's
gift.
awesome.
Go ahead.
I'll talk to Q and see, because I know that there's some really interesting kind of like, maybe we need somebody from the outside to just throw some stuff in at the wall and see if something sticks. But yeah.
Oh yeah, well, I love doing that. I love just talking about creative ideas, let alone executing them. So, and then the last little gift is just a permanent little thank you can have is I'll send you a link to my website, but it's colorfulcarl.com, and you can pick out any piece of art you want on there, and I'll do a archival art print for you and sign it and send it to you. So add a
That's
little
awesome.
extra color to your life.
Perfect. I appreciate that. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Well, it was really nice chatting with you, and hopefully we can catch up again soon.
Thank you, Carl. It was a pleasure. Cheers.
We really hope you enjoyed the show. Please like and subscribe to join us on our next journey through the world of art and business on the Pixel Retentive Podcast.